and bands ready for NRG and Dignitas, two EU powerhouses meeting in a one-game set here against one another, trying to determine who's going to be going to HRX. Still pretty early on. NRG or Dignitas could drop this game and still be in a fine spot in order to qualify, but it's important to get off to a good lead. Ratatosker was prioritized by Dignitas and Rival yesterday. It was the first ban for NRG up against Noble. Fafnir being that first ban today. Is Rat kind of one of those swing gods in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, he's just strong. He brings, he brings global pressure, he brings early pressure, and then he just kills backline all day. He just forces actives, and you can't do anything about it.
And something from the EU matchups is that Kalis was getting Fafnir for free. I think Dig in the third game actually took it away.
Yeah.
Raffer played it in his first game today. They go ahead and ban that, so they don't want to first pick it, and they're worried about Dig top 2ing it on the next side.
Fafnir definitely one of those big gods that we're starting to see emerge. And honestly, Fafnir's been around all season long and for a long time now, but one of those gods that really seems to be dictating picks and bans for Kalas, as you mentioned. Now between NRG and Dignitas, Trixtank has a great Fafnir, Raffer does as well, so a smart ban between those two. Ratatosker is banned away by NRG after that first round, and now we're waiting on Dignitas. I'm assuming that they could look at something for Zeros, keep him off of the Soul, which he really, really likes, and would give him more pressure than the Thoth.
I really am looking for Souls and Morgans here, right? Like, those are going to be things that are just consistently strong, and they're just going to give you leads, and then you can just bully off of it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Also, I think that Dig has to think about this ban. Last game, NRG first pick a Cullen, I believe. This is still on the table. The RDO was still open. They banned Osiris. I wonder if NRG just goes for Kakullen straight away.
Now, NRG and Dignitas can both play that Soul, but it is going to be Kakullen. NRG does not try and take it away, and so now Zeros has the option to go for it if he would like. RTO still on the table, and it will be selected very quickly here.
And with thank God, the Soul, baby.
Everyone on the desk happy with Dignitas' picks and bans thus far. RTO, how is that matchup in the Soul lane against Kakullen? Is that likely to go to Trix, or do you think it could be going to Variety?
I mean, it's definitely a flex pick, right? Like, it can work in both pretty well, but I think it's going to really depend on how NRG's drafting here, because there's a couple of picks I know me and you want to see here to immediately deal.
Yeah, of course. I think you kind of flex this a little bit. I think Hoyi is an obvious lock-in for NRG here. I think that you maybe look towards Morgan or Raijin here for Yemen. That's exactly what they do. I think you leave this RDO flex. I'd like to see them pick a pick for Cuvo. I think Arkle still has picks that he can get bottom 2. I'd like to see them get pressure for Cuvo.
What sort of pressure god do you want to see with Ratatosker off the table?
There's still Circuit. There's still Ravana. Cuvo's been very good at. He used to play Kama a lot. I'm not sure if he's looking towards that. Just something that he can be proactive with, something that he can fight with Zeros on the Soul.
Well, it's going to be Sylvanas, so that flex opportunity kind of taken off the board by Dignitas. They're showing their hand that RTO is going to solo.
Well, I think that's fine too now, because you have the next pick, so you can take a jungler that Adapting might also want, and now you can also look to ban him or ban Raffer. Trix played pretty well with the Sylvanas yesterday. I mean, they got up, what was it, like 10K at 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so he was performing well on it. Now that they have more pressure from mid, I think he's able to snowball with that pick more.
Something else I also really do like about this Sylph pick is now you have Sylvan RDO. You basically have to build anti-heal, and there's a lot of weird spot healing that you can't really control when RDO's just,
even the Soul
nuts.
Sustain, right? Like, in fight with her 1 and just lifesteal if he decides to go to Bancrofts or Brook of the Dead or whatever. All that in-combat healing, I think they definitely need to build anti-heal. You don't necessarily want Divine Ruin on Raijin. So you ban out Circuit, obvious, and then you ban out Thor, so you don't have that Brawlers type of thing.
Camazot's still on the table for NRG or Dignitas if either of them wanted. NRG looking at Arco with that ROM ban. He played that ROM very, very well yesterday, but wasn't able to close the deal in order to get that Game 2 victory for Dignitas. NRG waiting on their final ban. Could be at Arkil or into the jungle for Cuvo Fred. Is there one jungler you want to make sure Fred doesn't get here? I liked the Robin selection.
I was almost thinking, I wonder if he pulls a Cherio and goes RDO jungle. I don't know what Cuvo's been practicing, but there's still like decent soul laners open. Variety loves Erlang, for example. Maybe they go that and they just try to take an early fight. Otherwise, I'm not really sure. I think Ravana is still open. That's probably the obvious one.
I definitely think, Ravana is going to work great with their comp. I mean, they're already so hard to take down, including their mid laner, who's Soul. I mean, you can't really just run.
And it's one of the few junglers that doesn't have to worry about getting turned on by Hoyi, right? Like, you can 2 out of the stun, then you can chase his jump with your ultimate. So a lot of dive potential with that.
Mask had a great showing on that Robin on Wednesday up against Space Station in your Game 5, Jeff. So no surprise that you would like to see Robin here. Uller was the second ban for NRG in the second banning phase, a god that is starting to rise up the ranks a little bit and has one of those matchups against Hu Yi where you just play aggressive. There aren't many gods that can take the 1v1 against Hu Yi, but Uller is one of them.
I like the Uller ban a lot, right? Because depending on their starts, right? Sylve, if Sylve does start with them, Uller Sylve's pretty hard to contest, even if you're a mage and a hunter, right? They can go pretty even with it, so I love it.
Well, also, if they happen to go back to the online meta where both of the mage and ADC are in mid and they match that 2v2, the Uller Soul, I think, would have a much better fight than the Hoi Raijin because you have that stun at level 1, you have more damage with Soul passive, so I think avoiding that is really good.
Ooh, Hachiman, the selection, though, for Arkil.
That's
Barracuda.
a little interesting to me because I feel like with NRG already having their hunter and then an obvious mid laner, they could have last picked their ADC. Now Adapting gets priority pick on his jungler, so they lost that for free, basically.
That is true, but it also could be Cuba wanting to just pick, like, counter pick, right?
Right.
But,
yeah.
I mean, that has to.
It could be that. I mean, for all we know, maybe they look at the RDO jungle as well. I think Cabrakan most likely for Adapting, something we haven't really seen him play in a while. It's a tankier style, matches that Thor that I was saying last game, basically built full tank.
Do you think that it's going to be Cabrakan jungle, or do you think that Cabrakan will go over to Maniac and that Adapting will take the Cullen?
I could see it going either way. It just depends on what type of style they want. I feel like the Cabrakan makes a little more sense in the jungle. You have a higher chance to pick off that Sylve in the jungle.
I actually think Cabrakan's a really great pick here. He deals well with Sylve, deals well with RDO, and honestly deals well with Hachi as well, because Hachi has to dash, and like, Cap's a great pick here.
Naja, the final pick for Dignitas. You wanted pressure for Dig, and Naja certainly fits that bill, though not a lot of follow-up off of that Wind Fire Wheels ultimate. Do you think that was the best selection here?
I think it's fine just to push them back. The ring bounces in the fights, being able to get people pushed back. You can dive with the RDO, make room for the soul. I think it'll be fine.
Dignitas
also, their
versus
objective
NRG.
burn's nuts.
That's true. Plenty of objective burn with that Heavenly Banner from Hachiman. Guys, who you got?
I have Dig.
I like Dig's draft here as well.
NRG might not go 2-0. We've got the caster standing by. It's F-Dot and it's Hindu Man. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, guys. Standing by, as Ryan said, Tom Badinger joined here by Graham Hadfield. Two fantastic teams going at it. NRG, the defending world champions. Dignitas, my opinion, the best team in the world coming here.
Sure.
But on LAN, much different story.
Who would have thought we would have seen these two teams in the wildcards? Like, one of them was guaranteed, but not at the start of this split. We were expecting that at all. We would have expected NRG Dig. Possibly 1 and 2, maybe one of them slipped down, but not both.
Yeah, very, very odd to find both of these teams down here. And, you know, it's very interesting. I figured we'd see Rival here. This was, you know, we sort of make the mock schedule. Rival was on my mock schedule.
Yeah.
Not Team Dignitas, but Dignitas got here very, very definitively. Game number 1, Team Dignitas versus NRG. Keep in mind, this is a single game series. All teams will be playing against each other throughout the weekend. Those who wind up with the best records amongst their peers wind up punching their ticket to HRX.
Now, the calling point on the desk there was about to do with whether it's going to be Cabrakan or Cullen in the jungle here. I'm favoring the Cullen here a little bit more. I do like the idea behind it, especially because of the rage mechanic. The fact that the rage mechanic can turn you into the monster, you can time it from the jungle a little bit better. You can ramp up to that for the gank time. Have your rage just at that point of like, as soon as I engage this, pop my ult, transform, pop my ult again, go all in. There's a potential of that with this rage in the jungle that you wouldn't have got as much from the solo lane.
For me, it's a little bit simpler. I just really like Maniac's ability to play this Cabrakan. I think he's shown during the regular season and even beyond, you know, going into like last year and such, that he's just a really dope Cabrakan player. Adapting, sure, I'm sure he can pilot it, one of the greater players in the world, but at the end of the day, give it to Maniac. I like him on the pick.
The biggest thing that I'm going to see here as this goes on is how the solo lane matchup works out, and not because of just the solo lanes, because of the junglers too. Both of them have actually shown previously, Tom, that they're going to look to pressure the solo lane early on.
Right.
Very Season 2-esque of Weekend Cyclone, if you remember those days. Focus on the solo lane early, let everybody else on the other side of the map continue the focus there. Both these junglers like the right-hand side as it stands.
You know, it's interesting. I think Maniac is going to have a really big impact offensively. RDO can really bring a lot of sustain, and the stun is really what you're looking at as far as what this Guardian can provide. Whereas for Maniac, I think he provides a lot more control than just Variety can. And Melito getting aggressive here. I don't really think there's any kill potential.
No real change, though. Melito did that in Game 1 against Noble. He's happy to go aggressive. He died for first blood, if you remember. Go looking for aggression. Did trade out. Root. This time, though, it's going to cost him his beats.
Yeah, he's totally fine there unless the root hits, so He gets out of there no problem. So far, Arkle.
Yeah, he's a little bit deep. There was a little bit worried, but he did steal away the red buff by the looks of it there. So good news. More than anything else, managed to nip in the jungle, steal it away before anything could happen.
That ring bound's a really big deal, and you know I like seeing Naja come out. I think the character has a lot of application. Right now, getting into some trouble thanks to that early Kabrakan slam.
I mean, the Deaths themselves, obviously, the two support players talk about the ring toss being very useful. I actually think the sash is more impactful here. Obviously, Ganesh kind of stands still or gets limited movement when he's using that ohm, that silence. You can sash him out of that. The same with Kabrakan Tremors.
Yep.
So in the team fights, it's an easy way to actually cancel that out and potentially piggyback off that into an ult elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I really like the fact that the sash is going to be able to interrupt support. It's going to be able to interrupt what Yaman wants to do. You're going to be able to interrupt the tremors coming out of Maniac. Just a lot of interrupt abilities coming out from the Naja. Also, the ability to take somebody out of the game. Kabrakan is a character that's going to provide a lot of control with what he wants to do. The Naja, whether he's looking for the kill or not, can take Kabrakan to the sky. The team on the ground can do the class work and deal with the rest of the team without control man, and that's going to offer a lot of options.
Now, going back as well to what Adaptins play this Colin in the jungle here, the other thing that we've not talked about just yet, the healing on the side of Dignitas here. They do have that RTO as well as the Sylvanas. Colin has 40% anti-heal. Like, it's pretty useful with those spears just consistently going out, meaning that will shut some of it down. Keep an eye on the RTO in the solo lane here. You're going to have to be a little bit careful for Variety early on because he won't have the same sustain he'll be expecting as this game goes on, especially if we see Colin focusing.
That's the key for me is the anti-heal against the RDO, because RDO's whole strength is the fact that she's going to be in the middle of a fight,
staying in the fight
forever, right? That's her whole thing. I mentioned the PBAOE stun is really impactful, and the cripple field, sure, but really her whole thing is just sustained damage. She's hurting you a little bit for a long time. If you're able to just take care of her and stop that healing, the sustain isn't there, Graham, and it's almost, I'm not going to say a wasted pick, but right. It's not my favorite.
I feel you, because the main reason is that as an RTO, what you're going to do is go in the fight and you're using your tankiness, how tanky you can be in these engagements, along with the healing to stay in the fight. One of those two things gets shredded, you're not going to be in the fight very long.
Is he going for it?
I don't know. He was thinking about it. I'm like,
he was really thinking about it.
Have a root. Have a little dig.
Yeah, he was.
Get it? Have a little dig.
Oh, I see it.
I'm good at this.
You're okay at this.
Well, Arkle yesterday, a few people noticed Arkle yesterday saying he didn't have the best of games. I don't think it was necessarily him personally that had a bad game, but he was focused, and that's kind of what can happen in some of these games when you are known as a dangerous carry.
Yeah, I mean, Arkle also, speaking to him on the sideline, said he wasn't really feeling number one. No, not exactly Barracuda level, because he was actually out here playing, but I spoke to him this morning.
Well, he also didn't eat McDonald's.
That's fair.
It would have been McDonald's.
Or as his coach would say, Macca's. But either way, I spoke to him today right before they got on the field, and he was sitting there, and he was like, you know, I'm feeling a little better, still not 100%, but, you know, able to actually bring it out. So he's excited to be able to sort of prove people, because, you know, I always bring up the fact the 4 superstars at Arkle. And really for me, especially in the latter part of this fall split, Arkle and the 4 superstars. He's been the guy.
For me, he's equivalent. He is on the same level as that team, and he should be.
Yes.
He's very much significant to the same as like NRG is as well. NRG are all superstars in their own right, but together they make NRG. Same can be said for Arkle and Dig. They are all on the same level. It may not feel it because you've seen most of Dig around the scene a little bit longer, on the bigger stage a little bit more, but Arkle has, I think he's earned his credentials.
I feel like
now.
Even to the casual fan, I think in the springtime you say, hey, it's 4 superstars and that Sanguine guy. In the summertime, you go, hey, it's 4 superstars and Arkle's looking pretty clean. And then in the fall split, you go, it's 5 superstars. Arkle has absolutely proved himself for my money. And, man, it's a lot of fun to watch when he's on his game.
Definitely.
Yesterday was a little bit of a disappointment, simply because I know he's capable of so much more.
To be fair, it wasn't just Arkle. The whole team wasn't really on their game. The communication seemed to be there, but the actual execution was off.
It was mainly, and I want to see if you agree, it was mainly Variety for me. Variety seemed like on a different page.
He was quiet.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with him. Like, normally, we expect him to step up at lands, and I don't know. The one thing about Variety that's gone through the years is Variety's always been an underdog. He's been one of the weakest, and now that he's had his moment in the spotlight where people are like, he's good, he's one of the best, now he's slipped again. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he slipped a little bit. Is it overconfidence because he knows he's that good now? Is that what's happened? Like, who knows?
Yeah, I always get very careful when I'm trying to, you know, pretend like I'm inside a player's head. But complacency is the word that would come to mind. Where
Can happen.
Variety grinded so hard, and I will never discount the amount of effort he put in, because if you look at VODs from Season 2, I called him the worst player in the league.
If we go back to Season 1, if anyone remembers NQ on the Anubis versus Varieties Raw, that'll tell you how far he's come.
Yeah.
From being solo 3 times in 3 minutes, and then like 2 minutes in 3 bases. Yeah. So, you know, people do adapt, people do grow, and we'll see how this one works. I'm just surprised that Game 2 of the wildcard setup is NRG versus Dig, and this is a big game for both. Like, yes,
it's huge.
NRG put Noble to bed today, for the time being, and Noble may bounce back, but that's one under the belt that NRG expected. The winner of this is the real telltale sign of if one of these two teams are going to make it out. If this is close the whole way, you could be looking at both of them still make it.
For sure.
It's a real telltale sign.
Yeah, it's this is also, you know, the bonus card that you get to see. Oh, Raffer pulled into the knockup. 2 other players are going to surround him, take it to the sky. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot. The mid lane waiting on the bottom. It's Tricksank with the last hit. Team Dignitas first on the board, first blood.
And I was talking about Dignitas yesterday. Didn't seem to be on the same page in terms of the mechanics. They did have the same shot calling, but they didn't synergize well. Today, that was perfect synergy between the trio in the mid lane. Straight pull, into ult, into follow-up, into ult, into a third ult. Cost them all 3, but you get that early kill. You slow Raffer down a little bit, and also make sure NRG start to respect you even more.
Listen, it's 3 minutes into the game. I have no problem if you use 3, 4... If you use 5 ults trying to find first blood, I really don't care as long in that scenario because it's a 3-on-1, right? There's no secondary fight. There's no objective after the fact.
Well, they get that, but what you're going to see now is NRG are going to abuse the fact that they did use 3 ultimates there by invading the speed buff. And to be fair to Dignitas, they recognize this themselves, so they don't really contest that much. They just have to relinquish their speed. They traded their speed buff in essence for that first blood.
They're still going to chase with Zeros wrapping around the back end.
They might look for the other speed is what they may do. Yeah. Obviously, with ring toss from Q, Fred, it can set some stuff up, and Zeros wants to pressure.
Oh, the nice dodge coming out from the jungler. Ultimate already in for Yamin, and Cubo Fred brought down to about half HP.
Ring to
NRG adapting. Nice pull by the support. Hot damn.
Good pull from Tricksank. Now it's just to make sure that his boy Cuvo got away. Adapting does not want to give that up, though, and Adapting will catch him. Cuvo Fred, end of the day, had to run away. Speed buff, obviously, was on Adapting there, and he realized that he could still get in range and find that return kill.
Cuvo Fred did not know he was still being chased. Right now, no chase for Zeros, just stuck in between the wall.
And the big thing about that is the first kill, like we said, 3 ultimates used for it. NRG invade the speed. Dignitas not happy about it, think they can contest the speed of NRG, but by doing that, they overextend. They can't really fight a team with all their ultimates available when you don't, and that's what ended up happening and why NRG now have a lead. But the best news is Adapt King seems to be here.
I mean, I still don't like Cuvo Fred without the ultimate. If you're invading in the jungle, the Naja ultimate short, the ring toss and the sash with the possibility of a crit is just as scary as being Naja ulted.
Sure, but you're losing a lot of CC potential and escapability. Like, not having Naja without the ultimate, you're using ring talk, sure.
Yeah.
But how are you going to get away from Yamin's Drums of War? How are you going to get away from Raffer's Pillars that are going to come down? And on top of that, Adapting's going to switch forms and run you down like a dog.
That's what Sash is for.
What, Sash in the camps?
No.
Got him! Just this time. Unfortunately, Tricksank didn't get Yamin there. But that would have been a nice little play there. So now it's 2-1. Obviously, Dignitas still have the lead. That's mainly down to the first blood and the initial farming. But NRG will feel quite confident after how the last engagement went, especially because Dignitas kind of gave him that one.
Also, not for nothing, keep an eye on the Hunters. We've been talking about everybody but. That's for good reason. They ain't really doing much of anything except for farming. And that's really the key here. Arkle level 9. And you can see a couple of waves away from hitting level 10. And that's when he's really going to start swinging. This is a scary pick.
Yeah, and the ban is very, very useful for wave clear. The one thing that I'm noticing the difference of, obviously, is full boots versus full Devourer's gauntlets is the big difference between these two. Arkle wants the extra mobility to get away more often than not. But not just to get away, but potentially engage. Obviously, he has that ultimate where he can mount up with the mounted archery and run people down. So having that extra mobility early on does allow him to get in range a little bit quicker and not have to rely on his Ijutsu to engage, which is kind of slow.
Yeah, usually I don't know. Usually I'm always a proponent of the stacking item first. I really don't think that adapting on the Kukulkan is any more... I don't think he's any quicker than any other jungler, so I'm very interested to see why he goes for the boots first.
Could be down to just rotations. Maybe it's a bit of focus from Dignitas saying, listen, Arkle, we are going to leave you alone all game for the majority of the time, which means if you get ganked, you're not going to get much support for a while. Going for the boots option means that you've got a little bit more survivability in terms of escape, rather than sustaining it and like getting those stacks online.
Arkle did start on the left side. Emilito started in the mid lane, so he did have that going for him. Just basically... fighting against Raffer in the lane, not a big deal. for a Hunter. So a little bit of a lead here for Arkle above Emilito.
Pace has been exactly as I expected, sort of a bit of burst of action early on, and the burst will come around the speed buffs. It used to be back in the old days, like around the mid-harpies. It's definitely around the speeds.
Getting the heal, now he's in trouble, dashing onto the tower. Adapting Maniac think about going for the dive, but Trickstank shows up and discourages them very quickly.
Hard to kind of pin down this RTO with a Kukulkan and a Kabrak, and obviously the walls will help and the tremors too, but she can still dash away with the bear form. Even if he switches it into bear form as this RTO as well, he can use that stun to cancel out the tremors to just give him a window to escape.
I actually think Kabrakan is a really good matchup. I think that Maniac just didn't nail the perfect ultimate.
It's solid for like stunning out some of the clear that they're going to have with that life tap ability, because obviously that's a channeled ability to help clear the wave. But at this stage of the game, it's just like most other Guardians. Once you hit level 9 or 10, a little bit tricky to try and bring them down.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely hard to kill is RDO's kind of whole jam. So got to watch out for that one just a little bit. Oracle's going to Team Dignitas. Good vision for them on the around the Gold Fury.
Yeah, Deval's goal is now inside for Arkle as well, so he's got a bit of a lead over Emilito right now. Obviously, Emilito hasn't backed for a little while. You can see their gold difference is actually just 400 between the two, but that means Arkle's off to a good start here. A little bit of a lead too.
Big difference for Team Dignitas today versus yesterday, where they collected their 3 straight losses. Offensive ward vision. Didn't see a lot of that in the games versus Rival. Here, right away, you can see 2 wards on the Hunter side of the map. None so on the right side of the map. We'll get there a little bit later, but for now, a ton of aggressive vision by way of the Gold Fury side.
Well, I do know as well, like North America kind of just had scrim partners where they'd scrim one of a team. Europe's a completely different story. All these teams would have scrimmed each other quite a bit outside of the ones playing each other on day 2.
Right.
Which was, you know, for example, Rival and Dignitas would never have scrimmed. But I guarantee you, Dig and NRG would have had scrims expecting not to have to meet in the wildcards here. So they would have ideas about what comps they're going to be running, what situations, and how to deal with each other's squads, because they've been around against each other for a long time.
I mean, that's the true meta game. Like, we use it to... Maniac in a little bit of trouble here. Variety going for it.
I don't think.
No
kill potential. I mean, Variety to have to go too deep there. He didn't really have vision on where the jungler was, Kukulkan. If he goes too deep in that scenario there, dives the tower, he may have got the kill, but risk versus reward, and that's one thing I think Variety was just thinking about before he dove in there.
Yeah, I think Variety winds up with the kill if he goes hard, but he doesn't know where anybody else is, so playing a little bit safe.
Trap in mid lane here. Bad news is the ward just giving away a bit of vision there. Think that ward might have caught the back coming out there from Cuvo. Was it Cuvo Fred? Sorry, from Kukulkan adapting. So I think they realized there was going to be no real pressure here. Speed buff for Dignitas is safe this time round. No engagement from NRG, obviously because the ultimate's available.
This time around.
This time. That's okay.
We'll definitely have to keep an eye on that speed buff. Yaman on the Ryzen, Raffer on the Ganesh here in the middle lane, taking the 2v3. Well, rather just playing it safe so they don't have to take the 2v3. Team Dignitas goes back into the jungle. And
early Gold Fury attempt from Dignitas here, looking for a response. Kukulkan on the wrong side of the map did get spotted by a ward there that adapting, but he's on his way. The reset happens. Great pull.
And the sun's come down. Raffer going to be knocked up. Avoids it, but the dash gets interrupted. Ring toss and Arkle confirm the kill. Team Dignitas wind up tying it up. Adapting still here, looking for the ricochet as Emilito won't find it.
His rage.
The chase is halfway there, not full commit, but all the way from solo lane, Maniac comes and traps in Variety.
Zeros are going away to safety. Trickstank now being pressured out by adapting, and that's NRG getting angry more often than not. I don't know why Cubo's over there. It's a little bit risky.
Shot.
And that ricochet will definitely send him back to base. It's a 1-for-0 pick, and that was all Trickstank, which is a good thing to hear for a lot of fans, because a lot of people felt like Trickstank was slightly off yesterday.
Yeah, Raffer, I think Raffer in their first game versus Noble was one of the better games that he's played in a long time. Him and Maniac kind of just popped off and carried that game real hard. Coming into game number 2 here, Raffer positioning, I think, a little bit over-aggressive. Most importantly, I think he gets away with that if his dash doesn't get interrupted. But a strong knockup from Trickstank stops him in his tracks. And
going back to game 1, we saw NRG take on Noble. You saw the pressure adapting put on the solo lane to help out Maniac and give him that nice little lead early on. Well, this game, obviously, as we mentioned, Dignitas probably scrimmed NRG quite a bit. And what was the response there to seeing this pressure coming out again from adapting? Attempt to Gold Fury, force a 4v3 fight on the left-hand side, and then either get the Gold Fury or a pick.
Sure.
They find the pick, Dignitas get a very small win and get away before NRG can return the favor.
Yeah, Arkle did a good job there, just using his long range to his advantage. Now, building up those stacks, 58 already, so the whole conversation you have about, you know, should the stacks come first or should the boots come first, all of it doesn't matter anymore pretty much by the time you reach the mid game.
In the old days, it would have mattered if the Gold Fury was still worth as much gold as it used to be, because getting those Devourer stacks earlier meant you could solo a Gold Fury early on as a hunter. At the stage of the game where you get the stacks now, you're not even going to be looking for a Gold Fury on your own. And if you are, it's not going to be worthwhile for you to do it, because potentially it could get stolen away anyway for all the tanking you're going to do. So half of one, 6 of the other. I can't even say the words now. Half of one, half a dozen of the other. There we go.
Six
of one, half a dozen of the other. Oh
in
my,
one hand.
82,007. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same, right?
It's only numbers.
Maniac with the ground pound, doing a little bit of variety, but the ping's coming out. Adapting's deep by himself. And Dignitas are well aware. Big knock-up, 1v2. Adapting, trying to take the fight, going aggressive, actually, and chasing Team Dignitas even further. Adapting's got friends.
One of the benefits about playing this Kokolin is that when you rage out, people have to be aware that you're going to turn, have all your abilities up again, potentially be able to follow up. He wasn't scared. He is a warrior. And now Cubo's in trouble.
Wall. It's going to go ahead and set up Cubo. Fred bringing Adapting to the sky, right to the ground, and nobody there to answer, however. Variety trying to control with that cripple field. Yaman dashing away. Adapting needs to do the same. Raffer on the run as well, but everybody looking at the drummer, and that's the last solo he'll be doing.
Oh, the Horsey was coming in for Adapting too, but Arkill just couldn't get in range. And Melito makes a rotation. He can't make a huge play on his own, get some good damage off an Arkill. Maniac, though, still looking to make sure they don't get this pole demon.
Yeah, Team Dignitas want to get the consolation prize, but NRG Esports totally here, ready for the fight. Raffer half HP, but his teammates are right next to him, trying to take down the solo lane. Adapting swords are over and done with. Raffer is going to be taken care of. Variety with the last hit. And that looks like to be enough for NRG, but Maniac still wants to go in.
I don't think Dignitas will stop this. With the 2 healers taking into account Sylvanas and not RTO, they can resustain this, so Maniac's got to try and stop them on his own.
And he's here by himself, causes the leash. Maniac in trouble. Nice ricochet coming out from Amelito, but it's 2 versus the world. Adapting on the outside of the fight, just watching. As Arkill picks it up, here comes Adapting. 1 by 1 like lambs to the slaughter, but they think they have a chance, man. They're being baited by the low HP targets.
It's like lemmings, 1 by 1 they go in, and it's not an arc they're going to. They're going to the grave more than anything else. Dignitas
but they accomplish it. They accomplished the goal.
They accomplished nothing.
They accomplished nothing, you are correct.
Literally nothing.
But what does Dignitas accomplish?
Multiple free kills for nothing, and now looking for a pick on Yamin, who's now having to use his ult defensively? And Amelito comes forward to help, and it eats a hole up from Trix. One more hit. Arkill, can he find it? No. Oh, Arkill overextended, though. Okay, now they accomplished something. That was the only thing they accomplished.
NRG, here's the thing, though. NRG accomplishing nothing was totally fine, because what they accomplished was a defensive stop. Team Dignitas could not get the Portal Demon either. So NRG traded 2 lives for the Portal Demon, and which point those 2 lives were not worth that much gold. Take a look at the graphs. Dignitas get themselves up to a 1,500 gold lead. NRG have been behind that 8 ball many times before. The bite back that Yaman's able to taunt a player into the tower, that's just icing on the cake.
This could be big for NRG here if they can take this. Only Trix tank in the area, no ultimate available for him. Nobody else is responding. Dignitas, after all the engagements around this Portal Demon, I love the little sapling that came out from Tricks, like maybe, just maybe, the sapling can do it, but no. Energy, come on top.
That one hurts.
That one does.
I think if you're Team Dignitas and you lose that battle around the Portal Demon and you get your 2 kills, you're like, look, the 2 kills don't really mean much, but at least we smacked him in the mouth. Good for us. Then Arkill dies and you go, man, you should have done that, but I'm still feeling okay. And then the Portal Demon goes down, and that's when Zeros just yells at you in Swedish.
But at the same time, I mean, they're still in the lead here, Dignitas. It's not all doom and gloom for them right now. They still hold the lead in the game. Yeah, I mean, gold-wise.
500.
Kill-wise. Experience-wise.
The experience you're starting a conversation.
There's 3 things there, Tom, that technically tell you Dick are in the lead. Not by much, and I'm not saying it's
the hunter's up, the support's down. It all even as far as the experience is concerned.
I'd rather be a hunter up there. Support could be 2 levels down and it's still ahead.
That's fair.
Like, supports don't matter that much. Everybody else definitely does.
RDO just hit level 15.
There
Thank you.
Go. See.
Just hit it.
See.
Doesn't count.
See.
Doesn't count.
This is a great game, though, between these 2 already. I want to go back to the original team fight, actually, that started that off, which was Adapting getting caught at the back Harpies. That's where that whole thing began. And it was actually the ring toss out of Cubo Fred. NRG escaped nicely, but the ring toss followed the escapees, and they all got caught.
This one matters.
In trouble.
Half damage on Gold Fury. Gonna be leashed. Team Dignitas still around and local. NRG Esports trying to find the positioning, and it's enough to make Team Dignitas think twice.
Yeah, it was more about the rotation for Variety early on to see what Maniac was going to do. As soon as Maniac showed his presence in the mid lane there on that Cabrakan, Dignitas realized they could have got flanked round this back of themselves as well. And you don't really want to do that against NRG's composition in terms of team fights. Both of them are strong at team fights, but Dignitas have shown they like to skirmish a little bit more with what they've got.
Arkel starting the Gold Fury here, going to go ahead and leash it as NRG show their face one more time.
One thing we've not really spoken about is that Hachiman banner as well. Take into account that increases attack speed of your team too. So not only will Arkel be attacking a little bit quicker, but so will Cuvo, Fred, and Zeros, which are two characters that do enjoy the old auto attacks that can come into play.
50% Gold Fury. Team Dignitas have control. Keep an eye on the flank coming out from Emilito. There's the leash. Meanwhile, Emilito looking for Arkel. He gets him and adapting with the last hit. Emilito over the top, runs away from Variety. Everybody coalescing on Trix, and he's down to the ground. The double kill for adapting. Not done just yet. Looking for the tier 1 tower dive. Will back off. Maniac with aggressive positioning, trying to zone out. Why?
Rafa. It was all Rafa. Not bad about anybody else in that fight. Rafa was the one that came up big. The ultimate to reset it, but then the silence made sure that Arkel couldn't do anything at all apart from just eat the free damage that was raining down. Trix comes in to help out, trying to save his Hunter. He goes down too. NRG get a Gold Fury out of it, and now the Oracles, and now pressure on tier 1 in mid.
Tier 1 tower is going to go down as well. Rafa's going to be able to tank this, no problem. Where's the Hunter, though? Emilito, go attack the mid lane tower.
No, they'll still be able to get it without him, though, but I think he should have really gone for that tower. The minions will be good enough to bring
now
it
that
down.
the minions show up, that's fine.
It'll be okay. He heads back to his own jungle to make sure he doesn't lose the tier 1 tower on the left-hand side. But yeah, great play from Rafa there. Really, really good work from him. A lot of the supports go undervalued, but that was pretty much all him in that engagement.
Yeah, I mean, Rafa, game 1 against Noble was some of the best Smite we've seen Rafa play in a while, and here he is just continuing the trend. NRG always seem to go back to the default of leaning on adapting and Rafa when they get into trouble. And, you know, it's funny, I see Rafa and Emil doing it this time around.
Well, one thing as well to mention is something that Polar Bear Mike said on the desk is about Maniac. I mean, he mentioned it's true. They only had Maniac for a month and a half going into the full split. They had him for a month and a half. Now, after the break, they've had an additional month with Maniac to work on some synergies with the team. And it's specifically the differences that he brings to Dimmy. The team working out what he's going to do that Dimmy wouldn't and what he's going to do that Dimmy did. You know what I mean? You've got to make sure you find that balance of, okay, well, if he's not going to go to the back line the way Dimmy did, what is he going to do differently? Which means how do we adapt to it and make sure it works in our favor in these team fights? Yeah,
Maniac tends to bring the aggression, right?
That
pure aggression. Dimmy a little bit more calculated, which, you know, it's interesting. I think you can say that Dimmy's play style, his cautious play style, is perhaps better more often. But when Maniac goes off and plays well, I think he's taller than Dimmy ever could stand.
I think the big difference is I think Maniac's a little bit less calculated than what Dimmy is. Dimmy's like, okay, I am definitely not going to die by going into this fight.
Sure.
100%. And that's why I was known as the Undying for a while. But I'll still do the impact that you want. Difference is Maniac's like, I may die here, but let's give it a go. And that really can be a big difference between a playstyle versus another when you're not sure if your character, the teammate that's going in is going to survive.
And you know what? No disrespect to Dimmy, but at the same time, I want my solo laner to be a little bit reckless.
You want half your well, when I say half your team, I think you want your Hunter to be a little bit reckless now and again too, because you've seen how good they can be.
I'd like my Hunter and Mage to play it a little bit safer than my solo lane.
I like Zeros to be safe. Like I like my mid lane to be safe. Talking
right
about
now,
mid lane being
he's
safe.
A little bit of trouble. Adapting, top player damage this game so far, has been poking out the mid lane quite a bit.
That was Aegis and Disapparate used there by Zero. So he's got to watch his positioning for a few moments until that Disapparate comes back up and realize that if he gets engaged on again, he's going to lose half his health, especially if Yamin's around with that Raiju, which is the main ability that we've seen so much poke damage come out from.
Portal Demon up one more time. Team Dignitas have the footing. Emilito.
This is a big fight, this one.
On the back end, trying to come back up. Here comes the ring toss. That's going to soften everybody up. There's the ultimate coming out from the support. But again, focus on who? Focus on Trix. He's just barely going to get out of there. And everybody else focusing on Variety.
Variety is dealing with Yaman in the back, but now Variety needs some help. Ring toss from Cuvo comes in, misses the order to Emilito. Emilito pre-beats that as well and will escape, but the first kill goes the way of NRG. Cuvo now in trouble too.
Oh, he's barely going to be alive, scraping out. Maniac can wrap around, but he's all eyes on Zeros, the only full HP player here. And everybody from NRG have to back off. Team Dignitas win this team fight. And they get the Portal Demon as a prize.
Maniac, they're going right around the back. He can only really find Cubo or Trix here, but they know where he is. It's going to slow them down for a moment, force a reset, and now you're going to see Rafa still hanging around and adapting.
Portal Demon leashed again. Quarter HP. Team Dignitas don't want to let this go. Maniac has to get in. He's too late. The jump in is way too late.
They're going to win the fight.
Team Dignitas pick it up. Arkle gets 1 kill so far. And Melito's here. He's going to trade out and pick up Cubo Fred as well. The Hunters on both sides doing work. That Aegis is gone. The jump is strong. Couple of basics will do it. And there's Maniac providing help. 2 kills for the guys on NRG.
Arco needed help, but it came too late. And that means Zeros is now in trouble. Has to run away too. Yes, Portal Demon goes to dig, and Variety's back!
And there's a point-blank AoE stun. He's getting himself stunned as well. Emilito down half HP. Aegis is over. Ooh. Jumps over the ultimate from Trickstank. What a play! What a player! Yaman with the exclamation point on the team fight. Trickstank gets juked and booted. Variety, nowhere to go. He's gonna fall down as well. Emilito picks up his 2nd kill of the contest. 10 in total for NRG Esports, and they're looking at the big boy.
Being brutally honest there as well. Emilito's leap actually came he came back through! Did he just come back through?
He walked through the portal!
Run, Cubo, run! Terrible decision from Cubo Fred there, giving a free kill to NRG. That will guarantee him the Fire Giant now.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, you just don't do that. You just don't do that.
It was too early. I guess he was trying to rush back through looking for a play. Zeros comes in, but Fire Giant's too healthy. Zeros just trying to commit for it because he knows he can't do anything else. And in the end, he'll fall down too. And it's the same dig we saw yesterday.
Oh my goodness. Team Dignitas. I can think of another D word for Dignitas right now.
Dunces.
Okay. I was going to go with desperate.
Oh.
A lot of those plays looked like desperation plays.
So the Zeros play at the end there, that definitely was a desperation play, but I like the idea.
The Cubo was a desperation play.
Cubo came in, and I think he came in just too early. I think he was just trying to use the portal at the last moment to get back to this fight, but no one was low enough. I think he expected more people to be low in that engagement, and he wasn't. He missed the ultimate too as soon as he came through, I believe, and that just put him at a disadvantage straight away where there's no escaping what NRG had waiting for him.
I don't think he missed the ult. I think he was just trying to get the hell out of Dodge, man. I think he was using it as an escape. Cubo Fred backs up without looking in the rearview mirror and just walks into the entirety of an angry NRG Esports. 25 minutes in here, folks. We've got 19 kills. 12 of them belong to NRG.
Yep.
And they're going to pick up the Gold Fury and increase their lead to about 5,000 gold.
The action's been so fast that we've not had a chance to really break down any of the sort of fights that we saw, honestly, overall. But when you look back to what happened around the Portal Demon, they invested so much energy onto Trix as the Zeros is going to fall here for free. They invested so much into Trickstank, and Trickstank lived. That's why Dignitas won the fight. Instead of resetting there and focusing the targets maybe, they started to pull the Portal Demon, and NRG played it so well of waiting, and forcing Dig to get lower and lower until they just slowly picked him apart because the respawns came through.
And NRG sieging up this left side lane. The jump from Emilito over Trickstank's ultimate, that's a cold read.
For me, it was actually his leap came up just then. I think his leap came because he would have leapt earlier, I think, with the pressure he had on him, but he had no choice because it wasn't available.
Sun's going to be dropped on the left side of zone. Trickstank relatively low. Adapting, not letting him go home. There's the kick. Emilito gets the kill off of the assist from the jungler. Healthy Phoenix so far. Team Dignitas trying to turn things around by way of damage. Maniac tanking for a little bit too long, and NRG going to be pushed off the Phoenix, but they do get a kill.
So it is classic defense now from Dignitas, and one of the reasons we've seen a little bit more of this, the Phoenix defenses, with the changes to the Phoenix, you know for a fact it's going to take a little bit more investment. And the one thing a lot of teams do around these Phoenixes is they forget to actually kill it.
Yeah.
They focus so much on the kills and making sure people aren't there to defend that they don't invest enough time into actually attacking it, which slows down these assaults.
Well, there's a couple of towers left as well. Fire Giant's still going to be on for about 1.5 minutes for NRG. So you go and you try to push that Phoenix, and if you're not able to do so, you just kind of settle for the towers because this is not the game-winning push.
Well, you mentioned it was 5K when they got the Gold Fury. They've still been back to base since that Gold Fury.
Yeah.
So that 5K lead isn't as useful until you've spent it overall. So
now you got a 10K lead and it's still in the pocket.
Precisely. So let's go back to base after maybe the tier 2. They're not even going to go for the tier 2. Back to base now. They've got, what, another minute left on the Fire Giant for a siege potentially if they want to go to it. Or take a fight at the Portal Demon.
I love the Mantle of Discord on both Maniac and Adapting. Adapting has been the facilitator all game. Heavy damage earlier on. He was top damage for 2/3 of this game so far. Not because he was just, you know, slamming everybody, because he constantly finds himself in the middle of the team fight doing those AoE moves.
Looking a lot more like Adapting now as well, you know? Like, for the way we've seen him this year, he's not seen the same. A lot of people have criticized him, and with fair right to do so, you know, but he's looking a lot more like his old self.
I'm going to agree as far as quality is concerned, but this is a very different style of play from Adapting. Now, the Noble game where he's playing Thor, he built really tanky.
Sure.
Here, he's building really tanky. This is a different style of Adapting. This is, and pardon the pun, simply because I can't find another word. It's Adapting's adaptation to the game style that Dignitas is playing right now.
I actually think that's one of the issues NRG have had an issue with all year, is adapting to the playstyle, adapting to the meta that's been presented to them. They were so into Season 2 and 3, which were very similar in a lot of ways. Season 4 did mix things up enough that now NRG are like, hang on, how does this work again? Right. Why are we losing these games? Well, now they've started to find their footing.
Raffer pushed up a little bit. Maniac gonna got him the left side horn. Got him. Yaman gonna bring the horn.
That's game.
The double un for the big man. And that's gonna be number 16 in total for NRG. Zero's on the run.
No
Adapting
fair.
on the chase. That's the big style of Adapting that you were talking about, Graham. Here comes Maniac. Tricks Tank with a nice defensive ultimate. But NRG way up in there.
And what ends up happening is Tricks and Variety try and peel to save Zeros. They do just that, but in the end, Variety goes down, and now it's just Tricks and Zeros to defend a Portal Demon and a Fire Giant that I guarantee you they won't get a chance to look at.
Now this is classic NRG. The attention to timers from NRG has been one of the reasons why this squad finds themselves so consistently successful over the past 2.5 years. Here, they find themselves looking for the team fight. Raffer pushes up and literally forces Dignitas to fight. If Dignitas don't collapse on the lonely support, they're doing it wrong. Maniac forces the flank on the left side, and that brings Dignitas over, but that just allows Maniac to trap players in, give his mid laner the double kill, and you know why they chose that moment? Because the Fire Giant comes up exactly when they're done.
And look at how, I thought they were just going to leave that for the minions, but they realized, hang on, those two archers will not kill it in time. So NRG looking good to get the first 2 games under their belt. The next game today is Space Station Gaming, which is another big game for them. But to be fair, all of these games in the wildcard are, if they manage to take this, that puts them at 2-0 already in this group stage.
This is the scariest team for
sure, because they play each other all the time, they know each other so well, but they also know how to deal with each other. They've played so many scrims together over the years. They'll know where the weaknesses of Dig are. This game, where was the focus from? Tricks Tank.
Also, just
on the tree.
Also, just quick and dirty, Tom's power rankings, Dignitas is number 1. NRG, this is the toughest competition in this 6-team roster.
For sure.
Going up against Space Station Gaming, I think NRG are sitting here saying, if we can beat the black and yellow, we can beat anybody.
And that should be the confidence level they'll be able to go in with too. Yeah. So that's going to be a big thing for NRG with how this game has gone so far. I think Dignitas need to look at changing the strat, because Tricks is just getting focused every fight. There's not much he can do.
The team looks disjointed. They're not helping each other the way they have.
They have all week. Like the set against Rival, you saw that they weren't able to end games because they were disjointed. Not because they weren't able to play at the level we know. They just weren't all on the same page. There was no setup for the Toth ultimates. So the Toth ultimates were going out blind yesterday. And that meant when they weren't used and not commit, look at Tricks. He's getting focused again and nobody's looking to help.
Maniac just going right on top. Yaman taking care of Zeros on the right-hand side. While Maniac down B's for Justice. Uncle killed in the fountain. King Kenneth chasing him all the way home. Cubo Fred gets out of the hand of the jungler as well. And Melito picks up 1. Dia side, left side, Phoenix is toast.
Look at Maniac in the bottom left-hand corner.
The Titan
brutal
is just as good as dead.
Brutal game. Fantastic performance from NRG. No real surprises, honestly. No. With how the start of the game when Dignitas his way. Remember the first kill on Raffer?
Yep.
I was like, okay, Dig are on the same page today. They're looking good. And then it slipped again. A couple of team fights went their way where, like I said, they picked off a couple of members of NRG in a row. Do you remember that around the Portal Demon?